Shalom.
Shalom.
We want to start out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rakal Kodash.
Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the occupied and pushing the word and sincerity and the truth. It's the brothers from Great Millstone, Atlanta. You know, we just got a lesson going into you haven't maxed out, so put the extra work in. You know, and you know what inspired us to do the lesson in the spirit is just you know, just talking back and forth and just going in the spirit of you know, putting in the work for this truth and always increasing. You know, day by day, just every day elevating your mind, growing in wisdom, growing in knowledge, growing in understanding, growing in the spiritual virtues, as it is written in 2 Peter, the first chapter, charity, godliness, and all these different spiritual fruits of the spirit. And that's what this thing is about, you know. And the more that we produce fruit in the spirit, the more that more closer that we'll get to the end, man. Mm-hmm. And nobody has reached the point of you know, perfect. You know, the scripture says, "Be ye perfect," and we all strive for perfection, but we still in this flesh. You know, we still in this hell. We still make mistakes. We still have shortcomings, and that should enable us to want to go harder.
That's right.
All right, to not plateau in the spirit. You know, this thing is about spiritual resist training, and I have the definition of the term progressive overload, and that's what all of us should be subject unto, the spirit of progressively overloading and being challenge-minded rather than fixed-minded. Mm-hmm. Which that's a good you know, definition. Also looking up the, you know, you brothers, when you get the time, you know, you can look up being challenge-minded versus being fixed-minded. But this main thing we want to just go into is right now is progressive overload. This is it says, what is progressive overload? Progressive overload is the gradual increase of stress placed upon the body during exercise training. It was developed by Thomas Durlom, MD, which is, if I'm not mistaken, medical doctor, while he rehabilitated soldiers after World War II. Right, so this individual, Thomas Durlom, he was dealing with soldiers, and he was actually finding techniques for rehabilitation. And what he found that resist training, actual physical exercise, actually develops your mind and helps from suffering illnesses. Mm-hmm. It actually rebuilds your mind, recalibrates you, reduces your you know, stress levels, and it helps you manage with stress, as well as you know, your body also, your mind, body, and soul. Okay. So it's funny, the more stress you put on your body through progressive overload, the less stress or the more stress you could deal with. Mm-hmm. The more hell you could deal with, the stronger your body actually gets. And that's what it takes to build muscle. Anybody that are professional bodybuilders that deal with athleticism, they know that you know, in the gym, that's not where you build muscle. Mm-hmm. When you go to the gym, your whole job going in the gym is breaking down your muscles, tearing your muscles apart. And then, you know, at home, the nutrition, that's the rebuilding process. Mm-hmm. So even in this truth, you know, you go through these things in the truth, and you know, you get broken down. Yep. But you gotta ask yourself, is this breaking down is it totally to destroy me in the spirit, or is it for a gain, or is it for residual gain? Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. This truth is about gain, and you can't gain unless you break down. Mm-hmm. We have to destroy ourselves. We have to kill our minds, kill ourselves over and over and over again, like Paul spoke about dying daily, man. You know, that's the epitome of studying. The word studying is a compound word, which means student dying. You always killing yourself and destroying the old man, mm-hmm, to reintroduce new faculties of wisdom and spirit. And you never want to be fixed-minded to the point where it's like, I got it. You know, I know what the book of Titus goes into. You don't want to grow. Mm-hmm, you don't want to grow. Mm-hmm. I already know the breakdowns of Revelations. I know the breakdowns of Isaiah. I went through these different books already. I know these. I know the doctrine. You know, I know about prayer. I know about the Hebrew. I don't really have to study like that no more. I'm already at the point where I mastered this. No, none of us has mastered this thing, man. You'll be in the kingdom of heaven. Yep. And yeah, just like the brother said, if any of us mastered, we'd be like Enoch. Enoch walked perfectly before the Lord, and what it said, that the Lord actually called him up into heaven. because he was upright and his spirit actually maxed, it maxed out to perfection. So while we here on earth, we still got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of trimming of fat. We have a lot of spirit that we have to gain, so to speak. But this is Ephesians 4:13. I'll start at 11. And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua.
It says the perfecting of the saints. We strive, like the brother was saying earlier, we strive to be perfect in this thing, man. We strive to be as Yahushua. And that's a long ways to go, man. We at the level that we at now, man. We got a lot of building to do, man. So if you think that you got it all right now, you gotta sit back and rethink things, man.
Yeah, and that's why this truth is not about pride, man. It's all about humility. Even when Moses was leading the children of Israel through the promised land, which he was known as the meekest of all the men of the earth, he still had levels of doubt in his spirit, and he knew that he needed the Most High to put him on a higher level in the spirit, so that he can actually fulfill that feat. What did he tell the Lord? He was he basically was a man of hard language, so to speak. He couldn't really go to the children of Israel. He wasn't eloquent in the Hebrew, so to speak. That's why the Lord set Aaron right beside him. And even dealing with the men of Israel, he still didn't have that the wisdom all the way. That's why he had his father-in-law Jethro. I think another name for Jethro is Reuel. He actually, or Raul, however you pronounce it, but he actually schooled Moses in the arts of generalship, so to speak, setting captains of hundreds, captains of 50s, captains of 20s. So he needed that Moses had to have certain spiritual reliabilities, advisors and counselors, to give him spiritual guidance, so that he would actually be able to take the children of Israel to the promised land safely. So how much more us brothers that's looking to walk unto the promised land through the spirit, of course. This isn't going to be a physical walk. It's a spiritual walk, and actually take these the little ones with us, so to speak.
If I say too, what you just saying that this is a spiritual walk. Hey, Moses needed help, and the Lord was dealing with him face to face. So what more now, man?
Yeah.
When it's more of a spiritual thing,
Yeah, the Lord turned his back on us.
Yeah.
We all fell. The virgins fell asleep. A lot of us just woke up to the truth, 7, 8 years ago, 5, 3, 2 years ago.
God.
You've been a nigga for over 29 years, and you've came into the truth for 4 years.
Now you got it all.
Now you got it all. That's how you plateau. Whenever you think you mastered anything, like these LeBron James, if you talk to LeBron James and you ask him, is he a master of his craft? He'll probably humbly say, nah, I know I still got a lot of work to do. He knows that he has to hone in on. Now he knows at the end of the day that he is one of the greatest to do it. The stats prove all, of course. But from a humble standpoint, and you'll see these professionals, they'll be braggadocious, and they just do all that for the entertainment of things. But a lot of these sports athletes and things of that nature, they have coaches, and they listen to their coaches. They're not, everybody's not like an Allen Iverson where they want to skip practice. Even Michael Jordan had an interview, and the individual asked him straight up, are you the greatest? And Michael Jordan was like, well, for me to say that I'm the greatest will kind of demean the individuals that were before me. My predecessors that actually opened the door for me to beat Michael Jordan. I still had to gain that level of inspiration and spiritual attributes through those great men that were Hall of Famers, so to speak. So
that's right.
That was you could tell he said it sincerely. He wasn't just trying to because he could have talked this shit like, hey, look at the stats. I am the greatest, this, that, and the other. Because everybody knows that Jordan is one of the greatest, arguably the greatest of all time. But the fact remains, him in his own light, he still is looking at himself from a standpoint of humility, and still looking at it from a point of I got to this plateau due to the men that I watched and the men around me. Because what would Jordan be without Pippen? What would Jordan be without the rest of the team? So you always got to think of that too. You as great as your weakest player.
That's right.
You can't always look at it like it's me. That type of attitude. This is a us thing, man.
Team.
This is teamwork. What they say, teamwork make the dream work, man.
Yep.
And the dream is the kingdom of heaven. So you got to rely on the brothers around you, and you have to you got to depend on the men beside you. Sometimes you ain't got the shot past the rock. Don't just throw it up. Don't just throw it up. Just throw some bullshit.
Yeah.
In the spirit. Don't just do things just because. That's why the Lord sets certain men around you. The Lord didn't set up one-man camps. He set up a body of men. Because this devil, how this devil actually maneuvers and how he attacks things, he attacks it from a group standpoint.
That's right.
There is no just one elitist. There's not one. It's a conglomerate. It's a large group that come together to take down the children of Israel. So it says, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua. And like I said, the edifying, the word edify goes into the word edifice, which means to build. And when you read about the temple that was being constructed, it took a lot of men to build those temples, man. It wasn't just one man that was laying out the cornerstone and dealing with the brick and mortar work, so to speak. The pillars, the layout, the roofing, so to speak. Even when you read about the two major individuals that established the temple, what was Bezalel and Ahilud. If I'm not mistaken, Bezalel was over the priest garments and the attire, and Ahilud was over the temple.
Yeah, kind of.
And they had, more than likely they had men around them. They just had the blueprint work. They just had the mindset to the divine inspiration, and all those men came together to build that beautiful temple. And even later on, when the temple got destroyed, what you had Ezra, you had Nehemiah, you had Zerubbabel. All these men had to come together to build the temple. See, so in these times now, where the temple is being constructed through the Spirit, not being built with physical man's hands, we all have to come together. So that's what makes this thing perfect. The brothers that come together to perfect and work together in harmony to perfect this temple.
Yeah.
So it says, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua, which we represent the body. The word body goes into the word bodig, which means house. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Yahushua. Right. And we know, through the Spirit, that the apostles and elders, they have reached the highest point in Israel, period, to the measurement of Yahushua. Now, none of us can compare to Yahushua, but we look at Yahushua as our leader, as the chief cornerstone to build on top of, like the scripture says, as an example.
That's right. As
a sample of who to be. Because even reading about Yahushua is a powerful thing, but what Yahushua did physically on earth that wasn't even jotted, that men actually witnessed, that's a whole nother thing, man.
That's right.
You can only put so much in so many words to actually describe what Yahushua did.
That's right.
You can only, read. You'll read about it, but you don't really have the full insight, so to speak. That's why we just take these things, like I said, as an example, a sample on how to be. Because we can't measure up to that stature, especially in these vile bodies. But we look for it. That's the point, is the striving of it. So. Continuing on, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. And it's a lot of men that came in and they got tossed to and fro. You had certain men that were around for a number of years, and you would look at them like, man, this guy gotta be up to 144,000.
Yeah, kind of.
Prime example, our previous Camp Head, which a lot of brothers are familiar with this individual, Yard Dunn. He was a bad individual with the scriptures, and apostles will speak about men that was in the old school who basically knew the scriptures like they wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but at the end of the day, they fell off.
Yep, they weren't rooted.
They weren't rooted. So how much did that, tell us about ourselves? That's in the thing where we have to analyze ourselves.
That's right.
Even if the point that we're at, it still has to be, our spirits has to be dictated upon humility.
That's right.
Always listening to the brothers around you. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, because the scriptures say knowledge puffeth up.
Mm-hmm.
So the more that you get into the reading, and the more of understanding you have, and that pride demon can come quickly, man. But we got to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be able to catch it and get it off of us.
That's right.
And
I'm gonna end it with this scripture. This is Psalms 37:37. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. Right. So you should have your marker, your spiritual marker, to perfection. Like you have individuals that mark their height. Really you should, when you see yourself, or people that mark their weight, I want to be 195 in a 6 month time span, or you know what I'm saying, or I want to gain 3 pounds per so and so, to the point I get to the desired weight that I actually want to get to.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing even in the spirit. You should want to get perfect, and it's always about what? Taking those steps further.
That's right, bro.
From one step to the next, because being perfect isn't something that's done overnight.
Yep.
It was only a couple men that was actually perfect in the scriptures. That the scripture says he was perfect before the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Job, you had Enoch, you had
Yahushua.
Moses wasn't even perfect. Moses transgressed.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon transgressed. David transgressed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we transgress daily.
Daily.
Every single day. That's why it says our righteousness is as filthy rags. So, at the end of the day, we just got to work harder, work smarter, gain more wisdom, make sure that we don't get caught by the demons and the wickedness that surround us. Stay rooted, push this truth out to wake up the hopeful elect, pray more, fast more, do whatever it takes to the point, to the time or the point we get to the finish line, man.
That's right.
So you had anything, or you good?
Nah,
Okay, so we want to end by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom Akim.
Shalom.